Jake Paul has done it again, setting the boxing world ablaze with controversy and conversation. After defeating 58-year-old Mike Tyson in a much-talked-about Netflix fight, Jake now finds himself called out by none other than the undefeated light heavyweight champion, Artur Beterbiev. The 27-year-old YouTuber turned boxer wasted no time celebrating the challenge on social media, boldly declaring, "I run this sport." But while Jake's followers are reveling in his newfound attention from a pound-for-pound great, critics are calling his bravado laughable, arguing that his boxing record and choice of opponents don't justify the hype. With Beterbiev's destructive power and unblemished 21-0 record, fans are skeptical Jake would ever step into the ring with such a dangerous fighter. Is this another example of Jake stirring the pot to keep himself in the spotlight, or could he truly be ready to back up his bold claims? Jake Paul is celebrating after receiving a call-out from undefeated light heavyweight champion Artur Beterbiev, which he considers a major milestone in his boxing journey. Paul views this as proof that he's making waves in the sport, especially after his recent victory over 58-year-old boxing legend Mike Tyson. Their fight, aired on Netflix, garnered significant attention, and Jake believes the call-out from a champion like Beterbiev validates his place in the boxing world. However, many critics argue that Jake is misjudging his position in the sport. While his popularity and ability to draw crowds are undeniable, his actual boxing skills are still seen as far below the level of elite professionals. Despite the call-out, Jake has yet to respond to Beterbiev's challenge, and fans are skeptical that he will. At 39 years old, Beterbiev might align with Jake's tendency to fight older opponents, but his skill and power make him a completely different challenge. Known for his devastating punching ability and undefeated record, 21-0, 20 KOs, Beterbiev would likely dominate Jake in a way that critics predict would expose Jake's lack of true boxing ability. Jake's previous opponents have included retired athletes, non-boxers, and one active boxer, Tommy Fury, to whom Jake lost. Tommy Fury himself is not regarded as a top-level fighter, which raises further questions about Jake's readiness to take on an elite opponent like Beterbiev. Jake frequently describes himself as a disruptor in the boxing world, claiming that his social media fame has changed the sport's dynamics. With millions of followers, Jake can pick opponents from boxing or MMA who are eager to fight him for the financial rewards. This unique position allows him to maintain the spotlight, but critics argue that his success is more about marketing than genuine skill. They point out that other celebrities with similar followings could likely do the same if they pursued boxing, undermining Jake's claims of revolutionizing the sport. However, Jake insists that his ability to generate buzz and draw attention makes him a key figure in modern boxing. Reacting to Beterbiev's call-out, Jake posted on X, formerly Twitter, "Top 5 pound-for-pound fighter in the world calling me out. Ha 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 ha, 4 years in, and I run this sport." He also reflected on his impact on boxing, comparing himself to Mike Tyson, whom he referred to as the original disruptor of the sport. Jake admired how Tyson took the boxing world by storm in his prime, and he sees himself following in those footsteps. However, Jake's performance against Tyson wasn't particularly impressive. Many described his victory as lackluster, noting that Tyson, at 58 years old, was far from his former self. Still, Jake remains determined to carve out his unique path in boxing, using his fame and influence to keep the spotlight on himself and his career. Jake Paul's rise in boxing has been a unique journey, blending showmanship with athletic ambition. Unlike traditional fighters who climb the ranks through amateur competitions and professional bouts, Jake has used his fame to leap straight into high-profile fights. This unconventional approach has divided opinions in the boxing community. While some admire his ability to attract attention to the sport, others feel he undermines the credibility of boxing by prioritizing entertainment over genuine competition. The call-out from a respected champion like Artur Beterbiev, however, signals that Jake's presence in the sport is being noticed, even if it's not for the reasons he might hope. One major point of contention is Jake's selection of opponents. Critics argue that his pattern of choosing older, less active fighters shows he's more interested in boosting his win record than proving himself against top-tier competition. Even his fight with Mike Tyson, while a major spectacle, highlighted these concerns. Tyson, at 58, was far from his prime, and Jake's victory was more about Tyson's decline than Jake's skill. The idea of Jake stepping into the ring with someone like Beterbiev, an undefeated powerhouse known for his devastating knockouts, feels almost laughable to many boxing fans. Such a fight would likely end in a brutal loss for Jake, further exposing the gap between his self-perception and his actual abilities. Despite the criticism, Jake has undeniably brought attention to boxing, especially among younger audiences who may not have followed the sport otherwise. His ability to market himself, create viral moments, and draw massive crowds is something few boxers can rival. Jake's fights, whether against former athletes or internet personalities, generate significant revenue and media buzz. This has led some to argue that while he may not be a traditional boxer, he's found a way to make himself an essential part of the boxing conversation. The challenge, however, is whether Jake can evolve from a social media attraction to a respected athlete in the eyes of the boxing world. For now, Jake seems content with his role as a disruptor. His social media posts reflect a mix of confidence and self-promotion, with statements like "I run this sport" showing his belief in his influence. However, his willingness to step up and fight opponents like Beterbiev could be a true test of his dedication to the sport. If Jake continues to avoid elite fighters, his critics will likely grow louder, dismissing him as someone who's more interested in the business of boxing than the competition itself. On the other hand, if he takes the risk and accepts a fight with someone like Beterbiev, it could either elevate his credibility or confirm his limitations as a fighter. Whatever the case, Jake Paul's journey in boxing continues to be a topic of heated debate. Jake Paul's journey in boxing remains one of the most polarizing topics in sports. His ability to draw attention, generate revenue, and engage a new audience has undoubtedly changed the way boxing is perceived, especially by younger fans. However, his critics argue that his focus on spectacle over substance undermines the integrity of the sport. The recent call-out by Artur Beterbiev highlights this divide even further, as many believe Jake is far from capable of stepping into the ring with an elite, undefeated champion. While Jake views the challenge as validation of his impact on boxing, others see it as an unrealistic mismatch that underscores his limits as a fighter. Jake Paul is celebrating after receiving a call-out from undefeated light heavyweight champion Artur Beterbiev, which he considers a major milestone in his boxing journey. Paul views this as proof that he's making waves in the sport, especially after his recent victory over 58-year-old boxing legend Mike Tyson. As the debate continues, Jake finds himself at a crossroads. Will he take on Beterbiev and risk exposing his shortcomings in a legitimate bout, or will he continue to carve out a niche as boxing's ultimate entertainer? The path Jake chooses will shape his legacy in the sport, either as a disruptor who brought attention and attainment, or as a fighter who dared to take on challenges far beyond his skill level. One thing is certain: whether you love him or hate him, Jake Paul keeps the boxing world talking, and his next move will undoubtedly fuel even more heated discussion.